Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Kitty Hawk Town Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, 6 o'clock in the Kitty Hawk Town Hall. Trust and hope you all had a great 4th of July holiday. I know I did. If you would and you're able to stand, please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right, folks, before we get into the agenda, we have a very important add-on that just came up, and I'm going to call on Chief Talley to give us some information here.
Mayor, Council, good evening. As some of you are aware, or most of you are aware, we have a great in-house program that gives people the ability to visit our beautiful beach. And they might otherwise not have the opportunity for physical issues or medical issues. So it's the Beach Wheelchair Program. So we allow residents and visitors of our town to borrow the wheelchair for a week at a time, and they can take their loved ones out there. Now, supporting this program, we have Chris Merrick. Come on up. Chris Merrick actually is a volunteer with our fire department. Of course, sure. We want to make sure you get the camera with you there. He's been a volunteer with us for some time, but he's also employed with Ocean Atlantic Rentals. So they have graciously donated a beach wheelchair to support our program, and it's just keep us going, keep this good service going. So we definitely want to recognize Chris and Ocean Atlantic for their great contribution to our program. So thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, sir.
Chris, this is great, my friend. You and Ocean Atlantic really came through not only for our citizens, but for our many visitors, and we want to thank you very much. That's a great addition. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Council, at this time I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Lynn.
Second.
Seconded by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, public comment. Lynn, is there anyone signed up for public comment?
No one for public comment.
Is there anyone present tonight that would like to speak at public comment about any topic? Anyone present? Okay, let the record show no one chose to speak. Council, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Moved by Jeff, second.
Second.
Second by Lynn. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? We had no items removed from the consent agenda. Public hearing. Council and I need a motion to go into public hearing, please.
Motion to go into public hearing.
Motion to go into public hearing by Lynn. Second. Second by Charlotte. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, Rob, zoning text amendment, reference a tattoo studio, special use.
As mentioned, the first public hearing for the text amendment to section 42-250, that's the BC1 district. The applicant has proposed a text amendment that would allow, as a special use with specific conditions, a tattoo studio in the BC1 district. Recently, the same language that's being proposed here was adopted for the BC2, VC2, and VC3 districts. You can see in the staff report the definition of the tattoo studio. That and those three, the special use for those three districts were adopted in October of last year. The previous text amendment application included the BC1 district in its request. I will note that it's a different applicant from the first application. But the BC1 was not included in the recommendation from the planning board and not included in the approval from council. In August of 2021, when the planning board initially reviewed the original text amendment, the board initially discussed removing the BC2 district from the motion as well. The reasoning that they cited for removing both the BC1 and possibly BC2 districts was the vicinity of those districts to the residential zones. As the planning board discussion led on, it was kind of pointed out that all of our commercial districts in town abut a residential zone in some way or another. Because of that, they added the BC2 district back into the motion, but left out the BC1. The current applicant is requesting that we revisit the BC1 proposal. So I noted in the staff report, just straight from the zoning ordinance, the intent for the BC1 and BC2 districts. BC1 was established to provide for the proper grouping and development of commercial facilities in Kitty Hawk Beach. The BC1 district has been established to provide for the commercial needs of the neighborhood and the immediate surrounding geographical area. Commercial developments are meant to be characterized by small to medium-sized land parcels with commercial development of low intensity. Uses permitted in the BC1 include offices, retail, and service establishments. Those are all the permitted uses by right. And the ordinance itself goes into greater detail of the specific uses. And then there's a wide variety of special uses that are permitted in the BC1 district. BC2 was established to provide for the development of commercial facilities in Kitty Hawk Beach to furnish a broad range of services and commodities to serve the entire community. It's been established to provide for the commercial needs of the town and in the immediate surrounding geographical area. The commercial development of the district is meant to be characterized by medium to large size land parcels with commercial development of medium intensity. The permitted uses in the BC2 district include all of those that are permitted in BC1 with the addition of home center sales, cabinet, and woodworking shops and marinas. I've included the information about the BC2 district because we did approve in October the text amendment to allow tattoo studios as a special use in the BC2. In Chapter 42, the zoning ordinance, the difference between the BC1 and BC2 based on the scope and intent listed in those districts as described are based on the sizes of the land parcels, small to medium in BC1 and medium to large in BC2, and the intensity of the commercially developed area, low intensity in BC1 and medium intensity in BC2. The intensity of development typically refers to the site conditions, not the specific uses within the parcel. The intensity of the use of a tattoo studio would be similar to that of a barber shop or a beauty salon where there's a maximum of one employee working on one client per chair at any given time. As I noted in the staff report too, all the permitted uses from BC1 are also permitted in BC2. If you look through the special uses in the two districts, they pretty well line up for the majority. There's a handful, 3 or 4 that are allowed in one, not in the other, but for the most part, they kind of all line up. So at the May 26th Planning Board meeting, the Planning Board recommended approval of the proposed text amendment by a vote of 4 to 1 to allow tattoo studios in the BC1 district as a special use with those same conditions that were previously approved for the BC2, BC2, and BC3 districts. I should note, I think I mentioned in the special use staff report, but I didn't have it in this one. Since we've advertised the public hearing over about 2.5 weeks ago, I've gotten one phone call on the matter from, I suppose the citizens. They didn't say where they live, but one phone call voicing opposition to both the text amendment and the special use. No specific reasons given, but other than that, it's been largely silent. And you can see on the screen up here, I put the zoning map. The areas that are shaded in blue are the zoning districts that we currently allow tattoo studios as a special use permit. The area shaded in red is the BC1. That is where it would be permitted as a special use if approved tonight. And just a reminder, it's a special use. It's not anybody that wants to open one would have to go through the planning board and town council public hearing process. It wouldn't be just a permitted use that would go in without any kind of oversight. With that, I'll turn it over to council. The applicant is here if there's any questions for them.
Okay, Rob. Council, any questions for Rob? The applicant is present. Would you like to come up and speak, sir? Come on up. State your name and address, please, sir.
Anthony Hilton. Address, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
I live at 57549 NC Highway 12, Hatteras Village, North Carolina. 279,
All right. Go ahead. Anything you'd like to say?
Is there anything I can answer for you guys, just to help kind of put a little bit of mind to ease?
Council, any questions for the applicant?
The studio's fully licensed, we're professional, been tattooing for 20 years. Been in Frisco for the last 5 of that, underneath Colony Realty, John Zucker. It's pretty quiet, you know, around my world. We don't bring in riffraff and do crazy stuff. 20 years, I'm too old for being crazy.
Thank you. Anything else, Council? Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak on this subject? Come on up, sir. State your name, please, sir.
John Ed, Colony Realty, here as the agent for Phantom Enterprises, the owner of 3608 North Croatan Highway, and just asking that you would allow us to participate in somebody coming in wanting to do business in Kitty Hawk like it's allowable in the other districts. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hickey.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Okay, Council, I need a motion to go out of public hearing back in a regular session, please.
Motion to go out of public hearing?
Second by David. Motion made by Lynn. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, Council, what would you like to do in this matter?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the proposed text amendment adding tattoo studios as a special use with the above listed conditions to the BC1 zoning district. Town Council has found this proposal to be consistent with the town adopted land use plan.
Second.
Second by Lynn and Charlotte. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Now, item 7B, we need a motion to go back into public hearing. Council?
Motion to go back into this public hearing?
Motion by Lynn, second.
Second.
Okay, Charlotte. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, Rob, special use permit.
All right, with the text amendment now approved, the special use permit being heard tonight is for Tattoo Studio at 3608 North Croatan Highway. You can see the conditions that are to be met based on the text amendment that was just approved. Shall meet the separation requirements for minimum distance and straight line from the property line, 200 feet from any church, school, public park, or library, and 400 feet from any other tattoo studios. B, Health Department and any other applicable local and state agency approvals required. C, hours of operation shall be limited to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And D, the planning board may recommend to the town council, and town council may impose any additional conditions that they determine are appropriate based on the surrounding. The planning board did not recommend any additional conditions, but council is still welcome to discuss any if you need to. So the subject property is an existing commercial structure, approximately 4,700 square feet in size. It's zoned BC1, located on a 53,000 square foot lot. The tattoo studio would make up one of the 2 included units within the building. The abutting properties to the north and south are also zoned BC1. The abutting property to the north is Coastal Animal Hospital, and to the south is CRT. The parcels to the west of the subject property are zoned BR1, occupied by single-family residences along Rabbit Hollow. And across North Croatan Highway to the east is zoned BR1, it's occupied by several single-family residences. You can see I kind of
I clicked off that.
And that just shows where the subject parcel is and the zoning in the immediate vicinity. Nothing on site is being proposed to change, lot coverage, building height, any of that. Let's see, I kind of went through the conditions based on the text amendment. Those are all compliant with those. So per the standards of section 42-99B7, in order to approve the application, the town council must make findings that the proposed special use, A, does not materially endanger the public health or safety. Tattoo studios are strictly regulated by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Assuming the studio would be working in compliance with those regulations, there's no evidence that a tattoo studio at the proposed location would endanger public health or safety. B, does meet all required conditions and specifications. With text amendment approved, this proposal does meet all required conditions and specifications. C, will not substantially injure the value of adjoining property or be a public nuisance. Given that the existing tattoo studios in Dare County haven't created any issues or complaints with the sheriff department or the county planning department or health department, there's no reason to believe that the tattoo studio at the proposed location would be a public nuisance. Staff has been unable to find any documentation indicating that a tattoo studio would substantially injure the value of adjoining properties. And D, will be in harmony with the area in which it's located and be in general conformity with the comprehensive plan. The proposed use appears to be in harmony with the area in which it's located and is in general conformity with the comprehensive plan. Again, at the May 26th meeting, the planning board recommended approval of the proposed special use permit by a vote of 4-1 for a tattoo studio at 3608 North Croton. And again, like I pointed out previously, I did have one call in opposition. That was the only feedback I got from anyone. That's all I've got for If there's any questions for me or the applicants.
Thank you, Rob. Council, any questions for Rob?
No, sir.
Special use permit?
No.
Anything else from the applicant or anyone else like to speak? Come on up, Mr. Head.
Thank you again, Council, for the time. I just wanted to give a personal testimony to Mr. Anthony Hilton. I have known him now for a little over 4 years, I guess, maybe pushing 5. He rented his space from my personal property in Frisco, and we renewed his lease this just year prior to selling the business, but now I'm the property manager. So, but in all that time, when I first looked at potentially putting a tattoo artist, and I think there's some little implicit bias, even though I have a tattoo you don't see, about maybe what it may attract. And I was sitting with dinner one night with a dentist friend of mine who's also a client from Virginia, and the subject came up about rentals, and I said, I'm contemplating this guy named Anthony. He's a little out there sometimes, but I really kind of like him. And he says, John, I've been in my building for 25 years, and I've had a tattoo artist right next to me for 20. He said, they're one of the best tenants you'll probably have. And it was true to this day. My office literally is right over the entrance of his shop. My secondary office is right over the parlor itself. And in those 4 years, we have not had any incidents. It's really remarkable about people that come in and have art done, family units, and whether it's seashells or starfish or octopus or something, it's not like maybe when I was 40 years ago getting a tattoo. So I just would recommend that you approve the special use permit. And that's just a personal testimony for Anthony and how he does business.
Thank you, Mr. Head. Anyone else like to speak? All right, council, I need a motion to go out of public hearing back in a regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by David, second by Lynn. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, council, what would you like to do?
All right. Mr. Mayor, I move to grant approval of the special use permit to allow a tattoo studio at 3608 North Croatown Highway. Town Council finds the proposed use is consistent with the town's adopted Cameron Land Use Plan, finds this to be in the public interest, and finds that the special use does not materially endanger public health or safety, does meet all required conditions and specifications, will not substantially injure the value of adjoining property or be a public nuisance, and will be in harmony with the area in which it is located.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion is carried. All right, planning, item 8A, special use permit, medical office in the BC2 Beach District. Council?
Mr. Mayor, I move to set a public hearing at the Town Council meeting on August 1st, 2022, to consider a special use permit application to allow a medical office at 5121 North Croatown Highway.
Motion by Lynn, second.
Second.
Second by David. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried for special use scheduled public hearing. Okay, item 8B. This is probably going to bring up some conversation. Rob, we asked you to do a little homework for us regarding food trucks and other businesses. Tell us what you got there, sir.
So currently, Section 16-1 of Town Code prohibits the sale of any goods within the street and highway rights-of-way on the ocean beaches of town or on parking lots and other areas open to the public, which are contiguous to the state highway and town street rights-of-way. You can see I've got the language from 16-1 right there in the staff report for you. Although it's not written into the language, one exception to that is that vendors that participate in permitted outdoor gatherings per section 18-11 of Town Code. And additionally, for a number of years, the town has permitted mobile food vendors, like food trucks, trailers, or carts, to be located at an existing commercial establishment if the owner of that establishment also owns that mobile vending truck or trailer. Recently, within, I think it was 2018, the town of Carolina Beach attempted to enact an ordinance that closely resembles the way that the town has been doing this in practice regarding the ownership, allowing only the owners of brick and mortar restaurants to operate food trucks within the town. The town was sued by a group of local food truck owners on the grounds that it violated the state constitution. That case never went to court as the town took that language out of their ordinance shortly after the lawsuit came on. So after discussing with Casey, based on what happened at Carolina Beach, it's evident that we probably cannot continue our current interpretation based on that language in the town code. It would not be advised to attempt to codify it the way that it's been interpreted in practice as Carolina Beach did. So tonight I'm just kind of requesting guidance from council to determine how we would like to move forward with this. I've kind of listed out some options for you there. The first one is just to enforce section 16-1 as it's currently written. Do not allow for any itinerant merchants regardless of any kind of ownership. I did note in here that if council wants to go with that option, we should probably draft up some language to carve out that exception for the outdoor gathering permits, just so there's no conflict in it. The second option would be to amend the town's stance on itinerant merchants of any type, permit and regulate them. They'll span all types of vendors, not just be limited to the food trucks. Again, it's noted in there, if council wants to go that route, I would recommend we continue to prohibit the itinerant merchants within the streets and highway rights-of-way and on town beaches, just to prevent it from getting too busy, too cluttered up. And then the third option would be continue to enforce section 16-1 as it's written for most types of itinerant merchants, but to develop separate standalone regulations to permit and regulate mobile food vendors. Regulations can include, but not limited to, the number permitted each year, separation distance from brick and mortar restaurants, what zoning districts you want to see them in. I think we could go a lot of different directions with it too. And if council wants to go that route, I'll rely on Casey to tell me what we can legally and not legally, or legally restricted and regulate, and what we might not be able to do. And just to note, over the past few years, food trucks have continued to grow in popularity. Proponents of them argue that they can be an avenue for an entrepreneur to start up a food service without the overhead costs associated with starting up a brick and mortar restaurant. Additionally, they can provide more food options for residents and visitors to the town without the wait time for a seat in a traditional restaurant, which in the summer times can get to be pretty lengthy. On the other hand, the opponents can argue that the lack of the overhead costs give the food truck operator an unfair advantage. Mobile food vendors also don't have to pay the property tax or rent on the building that the brick and mortar restaurants have to deal with. They would be paying any kind of property tax associated with the truck or trailer, whatever location it's registered in. I did attach a copy just for reference of both Dare County's regulations and the regulations adopted by Surf City, North Carolina in 2019, I think it was. I didn't get into a whole lot of discussion in the staff report on, the validity of the arguments for and against, because I found that you can find them on either side. I found multiple studies saying that the food trucks don't hurt restaurants, they don't create too much competition, and then in 2 more minutes of searching, you find a list of articles and studies where the restaurant owners are showing that the addition of the food trucks have cut in their business by X%. So it's whichever side is creating the study or the article is going to say that it benefits them that way or doesn't benefit them. So I didn't include too much of that. I just kind of leave it up to council to see what council wants to do. If you do, say to go draft some language for it, there's nothing saying that you have to adopt it when I bring it back. You can take a look at it and decide from there, or you can enforce it as we have written today.
Thank you, Rob. Council, I'll kind of start this off, if you don't mind. I don't think any of us are against anyone trying to make a living in today's world. That's not what we're talking about. It's no secret we've got food trucks in our town. We have an ordinance in our town. So this is brought to my attention. Rob and I know Casey have worked hard on this. It's plain and simple. Do we enforce what we have? Do we change our ordinance? Do we leave as is? Do we interpret it differently? We've got a decision to make, and we need to give some direction to Rob tonight. That's all I'm going to say. Dave? Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I prefer to listen first, because I was behind a lot of that kind of stuff.
I don't see that we're in a big hurry. I don't see trucks everywhere. I don't see a urgency here. We do have an ordinance. I think it's something that Casey and Rob should get together and see what is enforceable, what is not enforceable. And then, maybe we could start from there and instead of trying to make a decision right this minute on which way to go, because I don't know, that was a lot of options, Rob. and it seems like no matter what we do, like you said, that there's a pros and cons, and if this was a real problem this weekend, but it wasn't. And I would just like for everybody to take a little time and let's figure out what we want to do and what we don't want to do, and what's legal and what's not legal. And like David, the county's worked hard on this ahead of us, and other municipalities are working on it hard right now. And so maybe just sitting back for a minute and see how things pan out in other municipalities might give us some directions so we don't have to go back and take stuff back. So that's me.
Good point, Jeff, and I'd just like to say I can't believe we're almost halfway through the summer. So maybe we can look at something option for next summer or proceed, whatever council wants to do. Charlotte?
I'm with waiting.
I do have one question. Have you guys just sent this to the planning board to look at? Or thought about that? Because like this whole county stuff, you know, we've worked, with me being on the county board as well for Dare County, we've worked, a lot of this language right here we've put together. So I don't know if it's smart to send it to the planning board to look at somewhat too.
Yeah.
Not at this point. I was kind of waiting to get some direction from
Well,
council.
of
how
course,
we're doing
right,
it.
but once we determine somewhere to go, maybe let them put some time into it too.
I think it's gonna have to
It does, okay.
go to the planning board at that point.
Yeah.
But maybe with some direction a little bit to,
Well, right, because give us direction, if you will, and then me and Rob can put something together, which is, well, unless you guys opt to keep it as is, then nothing changes. But puts it together, and that's when it would go through the planning board, the whole cycle. So,
And I'm like, Jeff, we don't have to act tonight. If council wants to think about it, we can table this to the next meeting and discuss some more. That is up to council.
This is another, like the tattoo studio. I haven't heard any complaints from residents or anything. So if there's a way to put it out there, to get the residents of the town, restaurant owners of the town, and send me comments and kind of gauge the public on it too before committing one way or another.
I like that idea.
The one thing I've heard is how good the food is.
Well, then you take like last night, every restaurant in Kitty Hawk was closed except for Barefoot Bernie's.
Yep.
Right, so if somebody would have had a food truck, could have taken the stress off people trying to find something to eat. I think we need to think about it a little bit.
So,
Yeah, me too.
council, you okay with tabling it to the next meeting?
Yes.
Do we need a motion for that?
Or more meetings. I don't see it has to be tabled to the next meeting. I think it
you want to start at the planning board and
table
work its way
it.
up?
We're just going to table it and let it forward to the planning board. However,
I'm fine with that, yeah.
There's no motion required, Mayor.
Okay.
It sounds like there's a consensus.
I just,
You okay?
Yep.
I just kind of feel like if that gets dissected that way, it's going to help us make a decision.
Agree.
Agree.
Agree. Very good.
Good things that can come from.
Thank you, council, very much. All right, item 9A, high water rescue truck. I've got some thoughts on this matter too, but Chief Talley, would you come on up, please, you and Andy?
I'll just give good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'll just give a brief overview of why this particular item came before the council this evening. In June of each year, the town is required to review their emergency operations plan for the town for hurricanes and natural disasters. Chief Talley has taken the lead on revising that plan. For the last several years, we've just sort of updated it. But what we're looking to do is we've had 2 staff meetings with the mayor has participated as well in those to completely revise our plan to make it similar to the federal government's plan. As the chief has said, that these things have been tried and tested, and our plan was sort of not in conformity with how the process works when it comes to disasters and emergencies. And so we're updating the plan, but then we've also seen a need within the town of Kitty Hawk. As you know, we have a $3.5 million emergency reserve, which is there for emergency purposes. But we're trying to get ahead of some things that could save the town, save lives, and then also saves the town a lot of time and money after some sort of emergency, such as a hurricane. So we're looking to not necessarily use those funds, but we're looking to catch up on some things that we feel that would benefit the town in the case of a storm. And this is one of the things that came up because of the flood that we had after Hurricane or Tropical Storm Matthew. One of the storms that came up and flooded the village. Mike will tell you kind of the story behind that. And we are looking to do some other things such as satellite phones and get contracts so we can have them shipped to us. Instead of owning them, we can just rent them when the time's appropriate. So we're revising our complete plan, and it's going to take some time to do. But if something was to happen tomorrow, we'd be better prepared than we were last year and the year before. So this is going to really put us, the new plan is really going to get us prepared. It's going to be a better response for our residents before and after a storm. And so this is just part of that plan and some things that have come up. And you might see several of these things come up as over the next few months. But I'll let Mike talk about the item before you this evening, which is we're looking to take one of our old military trucks and convert it to which it already is our high water rescue truck. But Mike will explain more about what we're looking to do.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Chief.
Good evening again. As most of you are aware, the town, specifically the fire and police departments, utilize 5-ton military trucks, retired trucks from the military during severe weather events. Okay. The primary mission of the trucks thus far, or traditionally, has been for evacuation purposes. But in recent years, we've been utilizing them for rescue and even emergency medical situations during high water events. In their current state, the military rigs that we have are not safe or an effective platform for our personnel to be working from. In addition, they're having considerable maintenance issues, and most of the time I would say they're more out of service than they are in service. With that, I'm proposing to rehab and modify the current 5-ton military truck that the fire department currently possesses. To complete this project, I'm asking for a $40,000 budget for rehabbing the truck, along with modifications for operating the floodwaters and making it more conducive for emergency personnel, along with victims and evacuees. The project, or the projected build completion date is June of 2023, which would put it in service for our next season. That's my proposal in a nutshell, and if I can answer any questions.
Would you explain to him situation where we could have used something like this?
Yeah, I want to say it was Hurricane Michael, or the remnants of that hurricane. We had some significant flooding that was not forecasted. It was late at night. We had an event back in the Kitty Hawk Landing where a child was, I believe there was a fall, was associated seizures. And this was the only way to get back there. And it took over an hour to get there. But we found a lot of problems. One, we have EMS crews and fire crews and uncovered vehicles, no seat belts. It's just not made for that type of work. It's made for carrying troops and supplies and stuff like that. Happy ending to the story, but it actually clued us into what we need to start doing to prepare ourselves. First and foremost, to make sure our personnel are in a safe environment when they're working.
And so did you load them up in the back of that? Is that
Yes. So we loaded them all in the back, and we had the EMS crew, fire crews in the back. We made it back out to the fire station, where we loaded them up into an ambulance, and then they went to the hospital.
And they currently don't have the cover on the back, right? Or any way to secure anything?
And that deck that we work from, that platform, is a good 5 feet in the air. So if you have to lift a stretcher or somebody into the back of that, you're going up and over someone's head, which is not a good practice.
Council, I think that we don't already have something in place, I find inexcusable. But Chief Talley and Andy went to work fast when we decided we needed this. Our citizens and our tourists need to know that we've got some type of equipment, something that's ready and safe and able to rescue them should the need arise. Hopefully it never does. That's my 2 cents. I know if some of you got some questions, probably the big question for Andy, and he's going to tell us how could we pay for this if we decided to do it. Andy's already got a plan, but Chief, you've done some good work and you've done it fast, and I thank you to getting all this information together. It's the same truck that's parked at the fire station right now, so it'll be equipped. If we decide to do it, we'll be ready for next hurricane season, next summer.
I think, I mean, there's no question we need to have it.
Correct.
Especially like you said, for residents, vacationers, and putting, firefighters and police in harm's way just to go save somebody.
Any discussion?
Kitty Hawk's gonna flood again.
100%.
I can promise you. It's not getting any better. And you're gonna have to go through it. I mean, there's no way to get in and out of here. I mean, Kitty Hawk's very vulnerable, and like you said, Kitty Hawk Landing, and there's a lot of deep water to get back there from the fire department. You're going through some of the major canals and the major flow of water, so you need to be safe, and I hope this is safe enough, so I'm all for it.
As far as the funding goes, we'll probably have a surplus this year, which our fiscal year end has already ended. So I think Liliana, our finance director, ran some numbers, and we're about $600,000 under budget, so we'll probably have the funds available through that. We will have the funds available through budget surplus this year to spend that for next budget year. But we would come back with a budget amendment, but those funds would be paid for from the savings from this previous fiscal year. So
That's not going to hold up the timeline of getting it done, though, right?
No. Once you guys give approval, we'll get it sent off.
Charlotte, any discussion?
Well, I have a personal reason for wanting it to be safe, and so I'm all for it.
Thank you, Charlotte. Lynn?
It needs to be done.
Dave?
I did have one other question. Like, why do we not have like Zodiac
There we go.
rafts and things like that? Like at least a few of them.
What happens if it gets too deep for the truck?
Right.
It was 6 foot in Irene.
I mean, there's people, true, I have personally used the boat during a hurricane on a road.
I'll just say Chief is smiling a little bit. But this
That's
came up.
next, right?
This came up also during our emergency management.
You're saving me, Mayor. You're saving me here.
I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea to have one of those either.
We are going to look in probably that also.
Okay.
It's already been discussed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good.
I like that smile on your face, Chief.
I think, David, that's a great idea.
Great idea, great idea. Okay, Council, I would like to make the motion that we proceed with outfitting our truck already in our possession as a high water rescue truck. I need a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, Chief Talley, you can proceed, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Item 9B. Andy, you want to start, or you want me to?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since some members of the fire department are here this evening, would like to just read a letter that was sent to Chief Talley regarding the fire suppression rating for the town. It's from Mike Causey, who's the insurance commissioner and the state fire marshal. Dear Chief Talley, congratulations on your recent improvement to your fire suppression rating. I commend you and your department for your dedication and commitment to making your community a safer place to live. I know you are proud of your department's achievement and would like to share this news with the members of your community. I also know that the majority of citizens may not be aware that the rating of their responding fire department directly impacts their property insurance calculations. So I'd like to provide you the enclosed news release to offer to the local media, which we already have. You've probably read about this in the Outer Banks Voice. It's a pleasure to work with your staff and members of your staff during the recent survey of your department. So they had somebody from the Insurance Commission, a group of people come down and analyze a bunch of our training, a bunch of our equipment, things that our fire department works on every single day to make improvements on. We've made tremendous improvements with very little, with not much. We've spent a little more money in the fire department over the recent years, but we've known that we had to make that improvement. But it also is a reflection of the fire department and the staff and the chief and the leadership in the Kitty Hawk Fire Department. So our rating went from a 4 to a 2. So I think the best rating there is a 1, right? Right. So, I mean, if you talk about a small town fire department, that we try to do a lot with as little as possible. As far as budgeting and money goes, we really are able to stretch the dollar here, and I would like to, and it's as a result of the hard work of our fire department. And so, congratulations. I think this is probably the best score that we've received, probably in the history of the town. So,
Chief Talley,
congratulations.
Wonderful news, wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, maybe we can go back to item 9B. How about that?
I'm sorry. That's why you were pushing that.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's all good. It's all good. I was contacted by Mayor Cahoon, and that's the reason this is before you today, Mayor Cahoon of Nags Head. We all know the dangers, and this involves our fire department, Ocean Rescue, too, police department, digging deep holes on the beach and leaving the holes. We all know what has happened, unfortunately, to people who've lost their lives. Equipment has been damaged. There is an ordinance, a civil ordinance against this now, but Mayor Cahoon is kind of spearheading this thing and is waiting for us to speak tonight on this, to go before the legislature, state legislature, to have some criminal act, to have our law enforcement or fire, hey, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. If you don't fill this hole back in, this is what's going to happen. So that's what this is all about. He needs an answer from us tonight on this because he is making contact with someone tomorrow morning to get our input and our vote. And I fully support this. I cannot believe people still do it, but people still do it. So, Council, what are your thoughts? Everybody in favor of showing our support?
I went to the beach yesterday. I went to Luke Street. When I left, there was 3 holes with huge holes in less than 100 yards. That's too many, folks. That's just too many. Okay, I'm all for this, but I think right now, as a town, maybe Cole and the chief, and I'll be glad to join in, and maybe we could come up with an education plan to where you see people with the shovels. Maybe we could come up with a pamphlet that we could go, hey, and pass it out to the people that are doing the digging so that they know when they leave. So maybe it was something that the patrol lifeguard could start doing, because once again, that my in-laws stayed in Nags Head. The problem was there. It's just some years it's big floats and some years it's holes. It seems like this year's the year of the holes, and I support it 100%, but I think we need to start educating our people at our level right now.
I agree with the education part, but I think they want some kind of meat in case the education part does not work.
I'm for that.
I'm a prime example right here. People don't always heed the warnings until you give them the real thing. So I think we need to have something there in case it's needed. I'm all for, hey, you need to fill this hole up. But if you don't, if you refuse to, I can issue a citation for that.
That could be on the little flyer, like you said,
Okay.
once they get it in concrete, if it's not filled.
I'm all for it. I mean, I'd also like to see maybe Ocean Rescue keep an eye on it in the meantime, too.
I think they already are. They are, yeah. Great. Lynn?
Yeah, we need to do something, and whatever we come up with, I'll be 100% behind it.
Great. Charlotte? Yes. Very good, very good. Lynn, can you let Mayor Cahoon know tomorrow morning, please, first thing, that our council fully supports his agenda? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any more reports from you, Andy?
No, Beach Nourishment Melody has been keeping tabs on the Beach Nourishment project, so that's getting closer to moving to Kitty Hawk, and we'll get that out to the public when the actual project comes into Kitty Hawk. I believe they're getting close to beginning in Kitty Hawk. And other than that, that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Andy. Council? Excuse me, Mr. Attorney.
Mayor, I've got nothing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. David?
I don't have a whole lot. I want to thank Chief Talley and the fire department for all their hard work. Police department, of course, town staff. It's been a busy summer, and I hate to see it flying by, but it is what it is. That's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Lynn.
I have nothing, thank you.
I was at the beach 2 days this weekend, and it took me a while to find a parking space at the bathhouse, but I finally did. But the Ocean Rescue, as normal, were just as polite, courteous, people coming on the beach, people leaving the beach, they were assisting someone who was actually on a walker trying to go down the beach, so that wheelchair is going to come in handy, Chief. But Ocean Rescue's top-notch, great folks.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to pat him on the back, too. I was at Luke Street Thursday afternoon, roughly about 4 o'clock, and out of the corner of my eye, I see something go flying across the beach. It's a lifeguard running from, I believe, Eckner Street. And I was wondering what he was, it wasn't very rough, I was wondering what he was running for, and I look out in the ocean, and somebody had been swept out. And luckily, he was paying attention, swam out, gave him the flotation device, and brought him back in. And I just want to, that made somebody's day that day, and made mine. And once again, I want to thank all you firemen and the whole fire department for what y'all do, and for the citizens of Kitty Hawk. Thank you.
Good. Charlotte?
On the museum, we're waiting and listening. That's about where we
Good.
are right now.
Good.
No, nothing further to report on it right now.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Charlotte. Council, anything else? Anything? All right. Could I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Council, for a great meeting.